You know this coffee? This morning it cost me about $3. Pretty standard. But what if tomorrow this exact same cup cost $3,000 and the day after $3 million? Sounds insane, right? Like something from a movie? But this isn't fiction. This is economic history, and it's one of the most terrifying and important lessons that financial history can teach us. We're going to talk about the day money stops working. See, we all have this silent agreement. We believe this piece of paper or these numbers in our bank account have value. It's a system built on trust. Hyperinflation is what happens when that trust shatters. It's not just a fancy term for rising prices. This isn't your standard inflation talk. This is a full-blown economic collapse. It's when a government's monetary policy goes so completely off the rails that their own fiat currency becomes worthless. Let's go back to the 1920s. Weimar Germany. They just lost a massive war and they owe a fortune, a massive debt crisis. So what does the government do? They find the easy button. They start the printing presses at the central bank. Brrr. At first, it probably felt fine. Debts are getting paid. But they weren't creating value. They were just creating paper. And soon, the value of that paper plummeted. By 1923, it was complete chaos. People weren't carrying wallets. They were pushing wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy a loaf of bread. A loaf that cost 200 billion marks. Your entire life savings, your pension, gone. Poof, in a matter of months. The first and most brutal lesson: you can't print wealth. You can only print paper. The people who survived, they owned assets, gold, land, businesses, tangible things. Those who trusted the paper, they were left with nothing. Okay, you're thinking that was 100 years ago, right? We're smarter now. Let's fast forward to Zimbabwe in the 2000s. Same story, different continent. Political instability, economic mismanagement, and what's the government's go-to move? Brrr. Inflation hit. And I want you to hear this number. 231 million%. Prices were doubling every 24 hours. The Zimbabwe dollar became so worthless, they started printing $100 trillion notes. $100 trillion bill. That couldn't even buy you a bus ticket. It was a complete breakdown of the global economy on a local scale. The social fabric tore apart. People resorted to barter. The government had effectively stolen everyone's wealth through the printing press. This is what happens when people lose faith in the system. And if you think that's still too far removed, look at Venezuela in the 2010s. A country sitting on more oil than Saudi Arabia. They were rich. But corruption, a drop in oil prices, and you guessed it, the government started printing money to cover the gaps. Within a few years, 1,000,000% inflation. A thriving middle class wiped out. Doctors and engineers digging through trash. An entire generation's future erased. It wasn't just a recession or a financial crisis like the one in 2008. It was the end of society as they knew it. So what's the point of these horror stories? It's that this isn't some ancient history from ancient Rome finance. It's a pattern, a bug in the system of how money works. When governments get backed into a corner with debt, the temptation to print is always there. And today, global debt is at an all-time high. Central banks all over the world are navigating very tricky waters. So what's the secret to protecting yourself? It's not about complicated investing for beginners or wealth management tricks. It's about understanding this one core lesson from history. Diversify. Don't put all your trust in one currency or one system. In every single one of these collapses, the people who made it through owned real, tangible assets. Things that can't be printed into oblivion. That's the foundation of financial literacy. The question isn't if the next big financial crisis will hit, but when. And when it does, the lessons from history will be the only thing that matters. Will you be prepared? If this deep dive into financial history got you thinking, hit that subscribe button.
because history has all the answers, if you know where to look.